Good morning, gamers. Welcome back to the Game Shop's basement. Here in the Game Shop's basement, your grumpy old GM host, moi, is going to talk about the latest LOFT character class that we're showcasing here, the Necromancer. Now, the Necromancer is kind of like a bonus free class. And what I mean by free class was so far we've done the Cleric, the Fighter, the Magic User, and the Thief. And those can be found in the doodly-doo below those videos. There's a link to the Old School Essentials free PDF of their basic rules. Now, this Necromancer class is also free, and there's a link to it down below in the doodly-doo. Now, it's not in the basic rules, though. So the Necromancer class for Old School Essentials was written into the game as a free 10th anniversary bonus thing. So when Old School Essentials had their 10th anniversary, they added a free Necromancer class. And it is a free PDF that you can download from drivethrurpg.com and a few other places. And I will have a link to the drivethrurpg.com link down below. So, now that you know how to get it and you know that it's free, let's talk about the Necromancer. So the Necromancer, of course, is a type of magic user, and their particular magical talent lies with necromancy. It's kind of a, duh, John. Alright, so we're going to talk a little bit about, necromancy and how I've seen it played out in the game by players. I mean, obviously we know how it plays out with villains, right? I don't think that needs any explaining. But how it has played out with players over the past 41 years of my gaming experience. So, now of course, when there in 2nd edition, there was a Necromancer's Handbook. And it always pointed out, in articles about necromancers, would always point out, you can be good and be a necromancer. And they would always use Van Helsing as an example. Yeah, be a Van Helsing necromancer, because it takes evil to fight evil. And I've seen people make really cool characters that way. Like I'm a necromancer because I want to understand the undead, because I want to destroy them. And of course, there's a trope, and people use it, that, my family were slaughtered by undead, and so I dedicated my life to destroying them, and I thought the best way to destroy them would to become a necromancer and understand them. So that there's that Van Helsing type trope. But there's probably, and I've seen lots of people do that, but I've probably seen lots more people playing necromancers over the years who really, they were a necromancer for a necromancer's sake. They were not some Van Helsing spin on it. They were a true necromancer. Now, the thing is, in fantasy worlds, there are cultures and societies that are a little bit more realistic in their attitudes and beliefs, but because it's fantasy, there's also cultures that are completely out there fantasy. So I'm going to talk about those first, and then I'll get back to the more realistic ones. So, for example, if you're familiar with Magic the Gathering worlds, in the world of Ravnica, there's a church called the Orzhov Syndicate. And the Orzhov Syndicate, what kind of a name of a church is that? Well, if you're into Ravnica, you'd understand, but it's not a Ravnica video. But YouTube is, I'm sure if you're curious, you could YouTube it. But the point here for this video is that this is an established church in that society. And they use undead called thralls. And they're just servants. They'll just animate big giant beasts of burden and have them pull carts, or they will animate flesh into humanoid forms, and they'll be like butlers or maids or whatever, just cleaning servants or physical labor servants, stuff like that, workers, this is accepted. I mean, if you were walking the streets of Ravnica, and there would only be streets on Ravnica because it's a citywide planet, unless you're in a part of the city that the barbarians are trying to turn back into wilderness. But anyway, not a Ravnica video. So but the point is, there are places where necromancy is kind of normal because it's a fantasy society. But most places in Dungeons and Dragons, most towns, villages, cities, countries, most groups of people that you're going to run into in these fantasy worlds have what we might think of as more realistic or real-life attitudes about the undead. And, but invariably, I have run for player character necromancers who try to walk into a regular pseudo-medieval town with their undead entourage in tow, with some zombies and skeletons following them around. And they wonder why the town wants to immediately attack them and kill them on sight. Now, I'm not just talking about the undead skeletons. I'm talking about the whole party. The Necromancer and his companions, or her companions. Because, that zombie that you animated on the side of the road, that could have been somebody's grandma, one of the kids. Mommy, why is grandma wandering around? Why does she look terrible? The thing is, these are people's dead remains. There are, not to mention that this is a disease vector. There have been cultures and societies in real life where a form of execution, a form of death sentence for a criminal has been to be chained to a corpse, because you most likely will not survive that, because as the corpse that you are chained to decays, it will infect you with some sort of horribly painful infectious disease. So the rotting dead, they are a disease vector. Not to mention, they're gross, they're disgusting, they're unclean, and most people in most societies are not going to be like Ravnica with the Orzhov Syndicate and their thralls. Most societies are going to completely, they're literally going to say, kill it with fire. And over the years, I've had very disappointed player character necromancers, including since I've been a professional DM and just DMing for the public at large. People have come into the game, tried to play necromancers, or played necromancers, and then, why can't I bring my zombie into the bar? That should kind of be obvious common sense. So I'm not saying don't play necromancers. I'm saying be smart if that's really what you want to play. Now, this game has all sorts of different things for different people. I've kind of said before that we all get our dopamine hits differently in our personalities, and that's why this game has such appeal for so many people. I would never fantasize about being a necromancer. The only way I would ever play a necromancer probably would be if I was in a tournament with assigned characters and I was assigned one for the tournament. But I would probably never make one voluntarily. But other people would. There's people that wouldn't touch elves with a 10-foot pole, but most of my characters are elves. But John, how can you play elves? Ew, elves, whatever. We all like different things. So for the people who like necromancers, for the people who actually want to play a necromancer character, be smart about it. That's all I'm saying. Be smart about it. So to sum up here, necromancers are, like magic users, only their particular talent for magic lies more into the realm of the dead and the undead. And they're a free class. There's a free PDF. They're from Old School Essentials, and there's a link in the doodly-doo below. In the meantime, as I announced yesterday on yesterday's videos, we have officially added some more GMs now. So we were running out of table space because I could only serve so much myself as one person. We have more than one GM now. We have more than 2 GMs now. So if you don't wait for the Indiegogo, people ask me every day, John, when is this going to start? Well, there's room. It could start for you now. It could start for you today. So check us out. There's links in the doodly-doo below to our Discord, to games you can play with us, to social media, all that kind of stuff. And in the meantime, I will see you around the gaming table.